Good morning. I hope you are having a great week. I have and have been able to do some catching up. Had some fun last evening. I went and blew leaves out of two friends' yard. I don't think either one of them knew it, but that's just kind of a fun part of life and being able to bless those, all men, as Galatians says, but especially those of the household of faith. As we are in this week focusing on the servant leader, I'd like to just tell you a little bit of background. One of the servant leader is kind of a talked about idea all over, and yet to find a great presentation about it specifically was quite a challenge. And with the help of a friend, I was able to locate this uh, presentation by Stephen Kane. And then I also was able to find this one by Stalwart and Tenney that I think are the two of them are just really helpful to get a good handle on what it means to be a servant leader. As I looked back over your discussion boards and papers, I was really encouraged last week by the fact that as most of you talked about three items, and some of you have really gone through some very difficult circumstances, and that surprised me some. I have gone through those kinds of things, but um, I'm sorry that you've had it so at your age already. But I was really encouraged that many of you talked about one strength and then two issues. Uh, that's good. That demonstrates that you're not wrapped up in your uh, unforgiveness and anger, but rather you're able to look at things from a good perspective. That's great. And I made a lot of comments. Be sure that you can that you read those comments. That's the way I communicate with you. I don't like when I was going to school getting back a paper that said A minus or something, and why did I get a minus instead of a straight A or not a B plus, and no comments. And you just say, well, surely you have a reason. And I try to make my grading very evident as to why you receive the grade that you do. Over here on the right hand side, you can see an Excel document underneath the calendar that has a few highlighted lines that just helps me uh, quickly find your name because each of your names are there. And as I grade, as I read, as I pray, I know who you are, where you're at, and for most of you, I know the uh, church you go to and about the approximate attendance and those kind of things, which helps me to get a better handle on your life setting and ministry setting. Anyway, we're talking about servant leadership this week, and as we're talking about it, I am very excited about the material that Hall presents to us. Again, this is just a marvelous book as I was preparing and working on the course that came across my path. And it was a recommended textbook from the publisher, and I kind of debated about it, but I've appreciated Bill Hull's writings on uh, disciple making and involved with him in other venues, and I just am really impressed with the book. You may not agree with everything, and that's not a requirement. It's just that good insights to think about. And likewise, on Fagerstrom, I was just thrilled to be able to come across a very practical book. And so I hope you enjoy the readings in those books. And as you work on your papers, just remember to read carefully. Some of you did 2 of 3 sentences in your papers last week, not all 3 sentences. And so you need to read that, and after you get your paper done, you need to go back and read the directions again to be certain that you have done it. And of course, you need to have a works cited page, which means you're going to cite somebody besides just what you pulled out of your head or your experience. That's part of being a quality leader. I was really surprised at how many of you cited leadership problems because they were too proud to admit they were wrong, and They were so egotistical. I guess that would be pride too, but uh, resistant to new ideas. So that's part of the reason I want you to cite somebody else to demonstrate that you will listen and that you can learn from somebody else. So I hope you have a great weekend worshiping with God's people. It's always wonderful to be able to be with God's people. And you have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing your papers.